have ever dealt with somebody that tried to blame it on you that you wouldn't go for their BS? Like you wouldn't settle for it. You wouldn't give them more chances to disappoint you than what apparently they gave themselves. Like they thought that they should be entitled to, 11 to 12 opportunities to make you look like a fool. But because you cut it at 2, 3, whatever it was, they feel like you did something wrong. Put I down in the chat, matter of fact. If you've ever been with somebody who tried to flip it around on you, guilt trip you, make it a matter of you not being graceful enough that you would not enable the subpar treatment or subpar standards they were trying to meet. They betrayed, they lied, they neglected, they put you on the back burner, they didn't put things in correct priority, and then whenever you held them accountable, he tried to put it on you. Put I down in the chat if that's ever been you. I'm trying to get this doggone new watch I just got. And this ain't even gonna be a long one. But I had a conversation recently with a brother. He had saw a video I made about why a lot of men truly don't prefer quote unquote older women. And it's really nothing to do with looks, because we're in a day and age where a lot of older women are really, they stomping on them girls that's 10, 15 years their junior. A lot of women these days look amazing and they stay looking good way longer than we stay looking good. So a lot of guys have always tried to make it about their physical appearance and women are just falling off. It's like, no, there are very beautiful, stunning women, 40s, 50s, sometimes in their 60s. So it can't be that. Can't be that. And I talked about the truth of why. And typically it's because on a mental and maturity level, those women are more intimidating, i.e. less tolerant to nonsense, less tolerant to unreadiness. So anyway, this particular gentleman, he saw the video, let me just put this aside, and was like, man, I hear what you're saying, but this is actually out here in the lobby, by the way. I'm in the gym. He was like, man, I hear what you're saying. I like that video. You know what I'm saying? My ex sent it to me. I like the video. But, bro, let me tell you something. The reason why I like younger women is because they got more patience. They're not bitter. And this ain't even about an older woman or a younger woman. Let me just keep it real with you. If you ever been through something, you likely have been called bitter because your standards, your boundaries, all of those things are more fortified. Like you're probably, if you've been through some things, you're probably more clear on what it is you cannot tolerate. Like you will not tolerate. Correct me if I'm wrong. Once you done been through some stuff, once you've done it wrong, it's like whenever you first come into a relationship or you first make the effort to fall in love, be vulnerable. You entertain the possibility that you don't know how this will play out. So let's see. But then if you have that experience, you no longer have that uncertainty, that naivete. You no longer have that blank there. It's already been filled. You know exactly how the story ends, and you want no part of it if you see certain things lining up. Okay. So what he was basically trying to tell me was, in a relationship, there's always going to be room. There needs to be room for grace and mistakes. And a lot of women that have been through things, a lot of women who are older, they don't make room for a man to be imperfect. And on the surface level, that makes sense. But we not surface level people. We think deeper. And what I told him was, brother, there's levels to this. When you talk about grace, making mistakes, room for improvement, I agree with you. But what do you need in grace on? What do you need in room for mistakes on? Because here's the thing. When a woman has been through some things as she's grown up, it's like the people that she's growing need to be correlative to that, right? That growth. There are certain things you shouldn't still need a lot of grace with. For instance, if you go and work at a company, when you 15, 16 years old and you go work at a part-time job. Hold on one second. Diaper? You good? Oh, that's awesome. All right, I'll be there in 2 minutes. All right. Told y'all I'm at the gym. My baby in there done pulled the diaper down. So I'm gonna make this quick. If you go work at a company like, say, McDonald's to work the cash register, you 15, 16 years old, they're going to give you grace with learning how to use the keyboard or, count change with your hands. Like, they understand. If you go work at a Fortune 500 company to be the COO, the chief of operations, they're not going to give you grace to learn how to count with your hands. It's like, whoa, you don't have the basics down? You can't do the bare minimum addition? No, ain't no grace there. Now, if you're having trouble handling the systems, working with a brand new software that just dropped, managing the different aspects, the different branches of the company that you're over now, because these are expansive, complicated operations. Okay, they're going to give you grace. Hey, that's cool. We expect you to have problems at this level, right? The same thing goes with a relationship. When you're dealing with women that have been through it, they've learned, they've cultivated, they've developed themselves. You're not dealing with McDonald's cash register level things. You're dealing with COO level competence there, maturity and experience. So what I told this brother was this, man. I said, look, it's not that, from what he was telling me now, because he went in on his ex and all that stuff, and now he's dating women that's like 20 to 22 years old. That's his little age range. The man 45, okay? Put it in perspective. I said, brother, it's not that women are not giving you patience, or, a woman's patience is the problem. What are you needing patience with? These are things you should have already resolved. This ain't nothing that you should still be struggling with. So for instance, let's just get really specific here. If you're dealing with a man and he's expecting you to be patient with his inability to be truthful. He's expecting you to be patient with his inability to be transparent. He think he could just go out till 4 a.m, 3 a.m. Y'all been in a relationship all of this time and not check in and tell you where he's at or anything like that. Like, these are bare minimum basics. This is McDonald's working the cash register level basics. How dare you come to a woman and expect all of the fruits of the COO of a Fortune 500 company to come out of her when you're struggling with these bare minimum basics? Let me keep it real with you. And so what a lot of guys want, they want to have patience that was really warranted for their 19, 20, 21-year-old self. They want that patience from a woman who is 45. And they want the king treatment and regard like they're a man who maturity-wise is 45 and they're still 19 to 20. I was telling them, like, brother, that's the problem. You calling a woman bitter, you calling women of a certain age bracket, women that have been through a certain type of, certain things, bitter, when really they just have a higher expectation for you than what apparently you've had for yourself and maybe other women. And so now you go down to women who don't know any better, women who are not experienced, because you're tapping into patience that's more on the level of what you're able to bring. And that's the problem. What you're able to bring does not warrant that level of woman. This ain't even, look, I'm not just giving you ear candy. I'm not just giving you what sound good. It's really logic. As men, we claim to be so logical. We claim to have all of this mental capacity to compartmentalize and separate the real from the fake. I need y'all to understand something, because apparently men are delusional. Somebody just said, men is delusional. If you are an adult, you expect to have adult problems. Anything less is going to frustrate, annoy. It's going to be a deal breaker. How are you still dealing with this surface level, kindergarten level thing? And you thinking we about to go and achieve purpose and build an empire and be a power couple. So for any woman out there, you've been through things. You've been told that you're intolerant. You don't give enough grace. You don't give enough patience. Honestly, that does exist. Let me just disclaimer. But if you're looking at what the person is referring to and it's things that he should already have known before he even approached you, no, don't go for it. Don't go for it. You're not bitter because you expect him to have the bare minimum down pat. Like, this ain't nothing that you're still learning and struggling with. And if you are, that's fine. But yeah, maybe he does belong with a 20, 21-year-old. And I know that sounds very pedophilish, but honestly, a lot of times when we see guys go and they're 20, 25 years younger, as long as she's an adult, we don't really realize it. But truthfully, they're dating on their level. Water meets at its level, right? A lot of times they're dating at their level. And the thing that I have, or the thing that I've noticed, and the problem that I have is a lot of my sisters out there, you sitting there feeling like you're less than. You falling off because he dated a younger girl, so he's upgraded. No, he downgraded to somebody who had the maturity level that matched his. And I'm not just kicking my brothers, putting them down and kicking them or anything like that. I'm just keeping it real with you. A lot of guys want you to have grace and patience with things they should have already resolved when they were in their early 20s. And then they're coming to you and saying that you got a problem because you've now risen your expectations and therefore the things that you cannot tolerate to be according to where you're at, what you bring, and therefore what you need from your man. Again, if a man is struggling, he's 45 years old. If a man is struggling with, say, for instance, understanding your emotional core needs, attachment theory, navigating the nuances, as you guys are trying to raise children, how to break the generational curses of how you guys were raised and raise your children so that they can raise their children in a better way. That's a grown man, grown woman obstacle to navigate. Have grace with that man. I am going to encourage you to have grace with that man. But if that man act like you supposed to come home every day, be exhausted, you done worked all day, but then you do 100% of the housework, that is not, I could ask my 7-year-old daughter if that makes sense to her. And she gonna let you know, no. You don't need to be having more patience for something he should have had more conviction and a higher standard on himself to overcome before he even got to you. Y'all, am I making sense? Put facts if I'm making sense. So again, my daughter in there cutting up, my little 2-year-old. She's a handful. I love that girl. So I gotta go. But the moral of the story is this: there's a difference between bitter and better. You've gotten better. Therefore, there are things that you expect to be better before they come to you. What you allocate your energy and attention and time to now is also better. So if somebody's bringing you the same old thing that you were tolerating, dealing with, being patient with back when you were 21 years old, the problem is not you if you're saying, I'm not dealing with that. This man can't even keep his lights on. Look, he's coming into the relationship with less than $200 to his name. That's not you being bitter, because you already did that struggle love story. Now, if he go through it in the course of the relationship, you understand ups and downs, but he ain't even coming up. Like up. Now, I ain't even talking about wealthy, but up. Just sufficient. We're not dealing with that. He don't understand that on a basic level, he needs to speak life into you and reciprocate. On a basic level, you're not asking for the sun, moon, and stars. You're not asking him to give you a new G-Wagon every birthday. You're just saying, hey, look, make sure you're financially in a position because you've been responsible enough that if there's an emergency, we good. If we want to go out and have a date night, we're not losing sleep over it. Have the basics, bare minimum. You see me over here and I'm tired, fill in. Not only make sure the trash is taken out, but then order in the food. If you see, I'm coming in, I'm tired, I've been working the double or whatever I've been doing, fill in. I shouldn't have to tell you these things. These are bare minimums. And the problem is, again, especially if you're an empath, what a man will do is he'll try to leverage your sympathy. He'll try to come to you with all of these sad stories about what he's going through, blah, 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 blah. Brother, and I'm not saying this applies to a 21-year-old man. If you dating a young dude, if you're a young girl dating a young dude, this don't apply to you. But if you are dating a man who is in his 30 to 40-year-old range and up, I would say at least 35. If you're dating men who are 35 and up, be mindful about all of them excuses and sad stories, because more than likely that's what's kept him mediocre his whole life. That's what's kept him stagnant. He's been able to tell other people, and he's told himself that, to keep his growth stunted, to keep the level that he approaches anything at stunted, and a place that he's comfortable now. You know, I went through this. My daddy wasn't there. My mama was on drugs. My da-da-da-da-da-da. Nah. And if that means that you have to be single a little bit longer, then so be it. It's much better to be in your own company than to have your energy downgraded by trying to be attached to somebody else who hasn't done the work on themselves that you've done. And I'm telling empaths this. You're going to have to stop feeling sorry for people. Empath. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you with some firmness, but it's all coming from love because I'm your big bro. You got to stop feeling sorry for these men. And I know at first you're attracted, so that's what you lead them with. But when you hear what they're saying, you feel so sorry for them, and you give them unwarranted grace and patience. And it all ends up to your time being wasted. And that's how they trap you, empath. That's how they trap you. That's how they block your blessings. I did a free masterclass on exactly how a man will trap you, exactly the words that he'll say, the things that he'll do when he getting ready to waste your time, especially if you're an empath. If you want access to that masterclass, I pinned it right here. You should see the comment down at the bottom or somewhere at the top. Because this is one of the things that a man will say whenever he's trying to reverse psychologically guilt trip you for his underachievement in life in general and his bare minimum basic standards that he can't even meet those on a consistent basis in a relationship. He'll come calling you things like bitter, stuck up, intolerant, not graceful enough. Then he'll try to leverage the fact that you have not yet realized all your relationship goals as evidence of him being true to what he's saying. No, I will say it may have something to do with you not having the right strategies to sift through the time wasters. And that's why I do what I do. And I do it for free. I'm giving you the game right here. The link is right there to the free game on how to avoid these guys that want to waste your time. But it's not because you have too high standards. It's likely because there was a portion of your life where your standards weren't high enough. Or you were willing to drop them if the man had a good enough and emotionally compelling enough excuse. Well, guess what? After a certain age, man, we ain't got time to waste. After a certain age, there's just certain things you should know. And if you don't know them, you need to go back to preschool and learn them all over again. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet big bro, trying to look out, trying to add value. Let me go check on my daughter. If y'all want access to, again, my free masterclass, the 7 Traps Empaths Should Never Ignore, I got maybe an hour of free game, free. Totally free. Put your money away. Free game you can tap into before it comes down for good, so that you don't get your time wasted and ultimately your blessings blocked by these guys that only come to waste your time. But I holler at y'all later. Y'all be good. Share this if you got something from it, so you can be a blessing to somebody else the same way you got blessed. Holla at y'all.